Report. I am your anchor, Courtney Hodge, and we have the top story. Today, President Reagan announced that he is sitting down to discuss a peace treaty with Mikhail Gorbachev, who is the leader of the Soviet Union. Will this finally be the end of the Cold War? This is a shock to Americans because back in 1981, President Reagan's foreign policy was to contain the Soviets and stop the USSR from growing, while spending billions of dollars on production of nuclear arms to which he deployed throughout the world. How can a government go from preparing military weapons to protect against the Soviet to sitting across the table discussing a peace treaty in only 5 years? It was recently discovered that Mikhail Gorbachev actively sought easing tensions between the United States and the Soviet Union. I hope that the United States and the Soviet Union can come to an agreement to help end this back-and-forth battle of who will launch an atomic weapon for the betterment of our country. We will continue to follow the story and keep you updated to see if a compromise is reached. I have just heard from our producers that some breaking news has come in from Berlin. We will now send it over to AJ to hear.
Coming to you live from Berlin, it has just been announced that East Germany's new leader, Egon Karasz, has allowed for the opening of the Berlin gates. So many people have gathered for entry into West Berlin, the guards had two choices, either turn guns on them or let them through. The guards have chosen to let the people through. As the Berliners rejoice and come back together, they are starting to climb and attack the wall with sledgehammers. If you don't remember, it was just 2 years ago when President Ronald Reagan gave a speech at the gate in West Berlin and said, "General Secretary Gorbachev, if you seek peace, if you seek prosperity for the Soviet Union and Eastern Europe, if you seek liberalization, come here to the gate. Mr. Gorbachev, open this gate. Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall." This is a great day for Berliners everywhere. Though they were able to reunite with friends and family. Signing off, reporter AJ Hale.
Thank you, AJ, for that important information. We have to go to commercial break, but when we come back, we will be joined by Mikhail Gorbachev, the leader of the Soviet Union, and Katerina, who was a citizen at the fall of the Berlin Wall.
Thank you for joining us on a special report. Today I have a special guest who has agreed to answer a few questions about the falling of the Berlin Wall. Thank you for joining us, Katerina.
Thanks for having me.
What did you expect to happen when you arrived?
At first we thought the soldiers were going to attack us and send us home, but instead they just stood by wondering what we were doing and threatened to attack us.
What did you do when they didn't allow you to proceed?
We just stood there until our goal was reached, and that was at 10:45 in the afternoon, and at that point they opened the gates.
Why do you think that day was any different than any other day?
Well, the Hungarians permitted their people to cross borders to pursue their freedom, so the East felt that they should get the same.
Hello, we're joined by Mikhail Gorbachev today, and we'd like to ask you a few questions. You had a speech toward the United Nations talking about new thinking for the Soviet Union. Could you explain that, please?
Well, I wanted to embrace a number of propositions about the nature of international relations, the modern world, and I was speaking of how there can be no victors in a nuclear war.
When you say there can be no victors in a nuclear war, what do you mean? As you know, Reagan is building up United States arms. How are you responding to that?
Well, the aim of the Soviet Union is to help the West from stopping it. So, the Soviet is accommodating themselves to a new power. We are also building up an intense technological arms race.
Do you think there could be any peaceful way to handle this, especially with the U.S., since Reagan is so caught up on his foreign policy?
Well, this in general is hard to deal with since it is the coming of the nuclear age. Although, I do think we should all be reminded of human values and ideology of peace. One way to peacefully coexist would be to have us in the Soviet Union feel secure.
Okay, thank you so much for being with us today.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Gorbachev and Katerina, for joining us today and giving us your perspectives on the top stories. Before we go, we thought you'd enjoy an update on what is going on in the sports world. Now we will go over to Kenzie for the latest in sports.
This summer's Olympics was held in Moscow, Soviet Union. This caused a lot of uproar in the world because of the Soviet war in Afghanistan. 65 countries boycotted the Olympics this year. Some significant events that went on in the Olympics included Vladimir Savnok winning 3 gold medals in swimming. He became the first man in history to break the magic 15-minute barrier in the 1500-meter freestyle, which is swimming's equivalent of breaking a 4-minute mile. Savnok also won gold in the 4x200-meter relay and the 400-meter freestyle. In the 400-meter freestyle, he set a new Olympic record, which was just 1,100 seconds of his own world record. Soviet gymnast Alexander Detian won a medal in each of 8 gymnastic events. including 3 titles. He was the first athlete to win 8 medals at an Olympics. He scored several tens, the first perfect score in men's gymnastics since the 1924 Paris Olympics. And that's your sports report. Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you for joining us tonight on the special report. Good night and good
More to use.
please. Okay.
I'm getting really hot. My eyes are so watery. Can we be done?
Are you recording?
Yeah, no.
Oh, don't record.
It's okay. No, I can crop it out.
No, I know, but I need to practice reading through once. Okay. So
Okay.
So you had a
glad to be here.
Oh, glad to be here.
What is